1 million.
They're not taking their chances and they're giving away goals.
I honestly think he forgot that he was on the field or something.
I made a lot of runs. Okay, I was offside about 1,000 times. Groundsmen, man, help him out, brother.
Yeah. Hello and welcome A-League fans to another episode of the A-League's Download presented by Isuzu Ute. Juan Mata lights up the league and gets global attention. Chiefy signs out of Wellington and the Jets go 8 from 8. A lot to talk about in today's episode. I'm your host, Jake Barkadation, a man that was very happy after Saturday night, Archie Thompson, and a man not so happy after Saturday night in Thomas Sorensen.
Yeah, it was a mixed weekend, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we'll go into the game, obviously, of one of the first segments, but the atmosphere looked incredible.
Oh, mate, amazing.
It's the best derby I've been to in a long while. And obviously, all the events added up to it, but I thought that both ends of the fans were in great form.
Yeah, 21,000 people in attendance for the derby. There were a couple of derbies we're going to be breaking down. But before we do, we've got to get into the bangers of the week. And the man out in Adelaide, Jonny Yull, Thomas, hit an absolute cracker here.
Yeah, no, I think Adelaide played extremely well over the weekend. And obviously, Jonny Yull gets this. Matt Sutton gets the first save. Great half volley. Again, Matty Sutton probably gets a bit too low here and could potentially get a hand to it, but yeah, take nothing away from that. You know, it's a great technical goal. You know, the ability to strike that half volley is superb, and I think Adelaide ran all over Perth in this one.
Yeah, and we might break down Jonny Yull a bit later in the show, but he's been brilliant so far this season when he's had his opportunity. Another man that's been brilliant in taking his opportunity is Tiago Quintal from Sydney FC. He broke the deadlock again on the weekend, Archie.
Yeah, well, we were waiting for Quintal to get some minutes, and you know, with a couple of players injured, he's been thrown in the mix, and you can understand why there's been a lot of talk about him in this Sydney team, because that's a great striker. We've seen over the last couple of weeks him scoring. Okay, maybe it takes a little deflection, but I love the way he cuts on in his left foot. Always so positive. But 3 goals, 3 deflections. Yeah. I mean, it's a skill. What a lucky boy.
They stay close to him. Yeah, the luck might rub off.
Yeah, well, there was some talk about Newcastle, and one of their theories is that before a game they stand around a sprinkler, and as soon as the sprinkler sprays one of the players, that player scores. I think it happened with Bayless again.
Wow.
Scoring on the weekend. So maybe the same's happening.
I'd just start turning up wet to the ground and saying, yeah, it must have got me already. But yeah, shout out to Tiago Quintal. He's made it very hard for Yull to get back in the team and taking his chance with Joe Lolly's injuries as well. A man we can't just get away from on this show is the man out in Perth, and that is Adam Griffiths with another press conference that'll make you tickle. Let's have a look at this.
So tonight, what's the best thing that you learnt tonight from Glory, your team?
Nothing. I didn't learn anything. I learned, it's a strange question, but the best thing that I learned tonight, yeah, nothing.
And like you all at home, we learnt not much from that one either. Guys, are we at a point now where is Griffo playing a bit of a game here? I actually think that one was probably more reasonable because it did seem like a bit of a silly question, but where do you guys stand with what we're saying?
You had a good theory on it.
You know, I think, again, you can always learn something. Yeah. You know, I think you had a more funny one. Like, he's just the
Riddler.
The Riddler. I don't know, he turns up in a green suit with question mark. I'm questioning if the players know what's going on here, but it makes for great entertainment. And obviously after a game, you're a bit annoyed and they didn't play well. It was probably more an annoyance to the question. Yeah. I'm sure he learned a few things.
Yeah,
and
I hope so.
And I would say it probably is a fair question, because sometimes, like, you do learn something about your team that maybe you didn't see before. I thought that maybe Perth lacked a bit of fight, and I would have learnt that and go, okay, boys, our performance, or we didn't turn up and we didn't win our battles. Okay, the football sometimes takes over after that, but I learnt from that Perth side that was probably the first time I didn't see him have a real go at an Adelaide team.
Yeah, it felt like that, didn't it? Like the energy was zapped, and
100%.
Yeah, it was always going to be a convincing win for Adelaide in that one. Well, what was going to be an interesting game turned into a convincing win for Melbourne victory. And Magical Mata, didn't he deliver in Melbourne? Because this was probably his best performance of the season, if not his time in the A-League. There's so much to talk about when we talk about Juan Mata, guys, and we'll go into some of his goals here. But I want to start with you, Thomas. Just going into that game, I mean, Mata was always going to be a headline act for Melbourne victory. He really keeps delivering on the big stage in the big games, doesn't he?
Yeah, I think he's shown that if you don't shut him down, which is really hard to do, he only needs a few seconds, a bit of space, and then he creates. We saw it against Brisbane, the ball over the top to, that got that goal, and the same in this one. This strike for his second. He only needs a little bit of space, gets it out of his feet, and that's the magic, and that's what we enjoy. But Archie, this ball, he plays over the top as well. So it's not just the goals, but it's his energy and his precision and the quality.
Yeah, and you see with that delivery of the ball, right? Where Ferreira is, someone I would have thought that maybe doesn't have the vision or the quality of him would have tried to play that ball into the path of a running Santos. But instead, he's played it around the left side of him. So it cuts out that defender making a block or intercepting it. And then Santos, I mean, that is a beautiful right footer, almost like a draw on a swing, right?
Yeah, and
like a golf swing where he's hit it and it's beautifully swerved.
But I think it's also real. That's the smartness of, he knows that he wants to get Santos in a one-on-one situation. So he doesn't need to hit that inside ball. So he hits it outside, gives him the ball in a bit of space, and then he does what he's great at. He takes the man on and scores.
Yeah, and even the spin on the ball that he put, it ended up veering into the path as well. I mean, he's meant it with the level that he's at the moment. Archie, just before, I guess we break down some questions about Mata and Melbourne victory, just talk us through this moment with the lob that we saw in the first half, because this might have been the goal of the year.
Oh, mate, that's a 52 gap wedge from about 80 yards out. Look at that. That's just pure class. I mean, we're going to maybe talk about where does this rate in terms of goals in the A-League. It's definitely right up there. And in a derby match, I still think Tim Cahill's one at Marvel Stadium where he's hit that was just pure class. But this, immediately thinking, okay, I see the keeper's out, I'm going to lob it perfectly, and it was. And Melbourne victory from that first whistle, and I knew that they needed to do this, especially when they've maybe started other Melbourne derbies, is the intensity. They needed to match City with the intensity, even go one further. And they did that. I mean, we're talking about Juan Mata, and why not? Because, I mean, the goals that he scored. But I thought the whole team, from the defence to the middle of the park to the up front, their intensity level was the best I'd seen. And even Juan Mata probably said that against Sydney FC, they gave a good 90 minutes. Well, I actually thought this match was even better.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and John Rowe and Valadon in that midfield.
Brilliant.
Because they totally outmuscled Melbourne City. But looking at that goal, I think from a Melbourne City perspective, they shot themselves in the foot. I don't know what Ferreira needs to do. Why does he need to try to dribble past it? And then we can argue, potentially gets a bit unlucky with the block. But, that takes nothing away from the genius of Mata, because that's where all the headlines should be.
And if you've been watching victory this season, that's not the first time Juan Mata's tried to lob the keeper from that sort of distance as well. Archie was talking about some iconic goals, Tim Cahill, Riley McGree. Let us know in the comments what you guys think at home. Was that one of the best in the derby and or in the A-League as well? Archie, it begged the question from some of our producers. How many goals would you have scored if you were playing with a prime Juan Mata in behind? I mean, you'd have an absolute field day, wouldn't you?
1 million. No, look, I think I definitely would have had a lot more, because what he does really well and is that he always honours, when I say honour, is that like when someone makes a run, he doesn't look to go out and try something else. Or he actually plays the ball where he sees the run. And I think I would have loved that, because I made a lot of runs. Okay, I was offside about 1,000 times, but if that's delivered perfectly when the run's there, I mean, you can see why he's creating. I just think he's a fantastic player for a good striker.
He always plays the first pass instead, doesn't he? Which is what you're kind of told to from an instinctive point of view, and his accuracy with what he does. I guess, Thomas, a real difference we see from last year to this year is how he's being coached, how he's being managed, what Arthur Dillis is doing with him. I mean, it's almost maybe what you don't have to do with him because of how good and how professional he is. But I mean, your perspective on the way Dillis is working with him this year, obviously compared to Stajic, who left him out regularly last season.
Yeah, no, it's funny because we sort of got to talk to him a little bit on the panel when we did the 10 coverage, and he just wants to, he just want to feel good. He just want to enjoy his football, and he's a constant professional. I don't think there's any argument. He's a super nice guy. So I think for Arthur Dillis, it's just to keep him happy. Making sure that he's in a good place. And again, he's a professional, so I don't think I've ever seen him as fit. He can run for 90 minutes, so you don't need to worry about it. So I think it's a pretty easy job, but as a manager, you also got to give him that space. And I've played under managers that wouldn't give any players that space. They would just fit them into this box and take it or leave it. So I think it's great to see the smile he had on his face and how much he's enjoying Melbourne and enjoying victory and enjoying his football.
Yeah. And the perks of having a player like that do well, it takes global attention. We saw 433 on Instagram. We've got 80 million followers posting him. It had 100,000 likes. Yeah. I mean, he's
Bruno Fernandes. I think David De Gea. Which is great for the game here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Thomas, we've got to go into your Melbourne City on the other side of this fixture because they are currently, they've scored as many goals as, or less than I said, Brisbane and Western Sydney have scored less goals than them in their last 11 games, which they've only taken 10 points from. They're now dropping down to 8th in the ladder. Their A-League form is what we're going to focus on here, and that hasn't been up to scratch. We know they've had some transfers, some injuries. Where are you sitting with them at the moment? Is there a feeling of concern as a Melbourne City fan?
Yeah, I think there is. I think there's a worry that, this has been going on, as you said, for 11 games, very inconsistent. And I think this game actually shows their issues. I talked about the Ferreira goal. He makes a bad mistake, they get punished. Harrison Delbridge gives away the ball. But they're in this game, in the last 15 minutes of the first half. They get Marcus Younis has been great. He delivers that ball for Caputo. And then Mehmeti has that chance. And I think that is the situation. And they're not taking their chances and they're giving away goals. And it's not a great combo. And they need, with Auckland away coming up, Sydney away coming up, Perth away coming up in the next 3 games, they need to find something from somewhere. They need to show that they are the champions, and they've got time to turn it around. And I think they've got the quality to turn it around. But there's something mentally that is just missing at the moment. That they need to get together in a room, stamp down a way forward, and then they need to show the character to then back it up.
Yeah, well said. Well, just to break that down, they're 2 wins, 4 draws, and 5 losses with 11 goals for and 18 against in their last 11. Archie, just very quickly, the 4 January signings, that was their first game together. Yeah. That's probably the promise and the hope for Melbourne City going forward.
Yeah, and, I think with Arzani maybe getting some more minutes, hopefully we see him gelling with his team. We know Younis has been just outstanding since he's been there, and I forgot about that Mehmeti opportunity. I mean, that could have changed the game completely. We've seen that a few times with teams if they don't take their chances. Western Sydney is another prime one there if they didn't take their chances. But I think Delbridge, I thought he was really great. But he gives away a ball considering he hasn't played too much football. So I think if they're going to get some minutes and a bit more consistency, they'll still give I think the 6 a shake. But like Thomas said, I think they really need to start to perform and get some points. Yeah,
definitely. And Wellington's in the same boat as that, and we know what happened on the weekend. Giancarlo Italiano resigned from his duties as the Wellington Phoenix manager after a 5-0 loss in the derby. Their 6th appearance in the derby and their 6th loss for the club. It was a pretty emotional moment, I guess, for the club as a whole, which a very quick decision from Chiefy here, which we'll have a look at in his press conference.
To lose 5-0 at home, with the season still to play for is unacceptable, and I take full responsibility. So I've told the club, I go, look, tendered my resignation, and I think it's easier for someone to come in and just with new energy and refocus the group.
Well, here we have in his first season, he had 15 wins, which was the 2023-24 season, followed by, which they came second in that season. Last year it was 6 wins for 11th, currently 5 wins for 10th. Archie, your view on him, because when he had some firepower with Zawada and I guess some quality in his team, he did well in the league, but obviously feeling the pressure and the point came to where it is.
Yeah, I think that was an amazing season where they just lost that semi-final against Melbourne Victory to go into a grand final. I think that was an outstanding season. They had really good balance from defence.
Alex
Paulson was there. Defence, midfield to attack. I think after that year they lost some good players and then they weren't able to recoup them. And a big loss, I think, was Wooten and Sutton this season in the defence. And they just didn't really have anything. They just lost balance, I think, throughout the lines. And then the decision-making of some players, I mean, that game against Wellington, I felt so sorry for Olawuyemi to be kind of like 8 games not starting from that injury and then all of a sudden thrown into a derby. Always tough, but I think there's only so much a manager can shoulder, I think, with responsibility. I think the players need to take a good look at themselves. I mean, those 2 goals at the start were mistakes by the goalkeeper, but I think the third one sums it up. If you look at the defending of how easy it was to get across into the middle of the 18-yard box and no one defending their score, 3-0 down, and then that sums it up. But like, I wonder if now Chiefy's at home going, maybe did I make that decision a bit too quick? You know, we're only still a couple of wins out of the 6. You know,
was it premeditated, Thomas? To Archie's point, I mean, it's pretty quick.
It is quick, and I feel for the journalists in that they would have gone through like, have I gone on questions? Because everything would have been about the game and where do we go from here and you know, he preempted it. You know, sometimes, you know, everything is emotional and you know, sometimes it's good to just take a step back and maybe get 24 hours of thought before you make it. You know, it obviously something that he potentially have been wondering about over the last couple of weeks. And you know, like you alluded to, if you can start to see the belief or the energy in the squad is being drained, and then there is a potential need for something new. And yeah, he's gone, and it'd be interesting to see how they go from here, who comes in, if they can turn it around. I still think they've got quality there with you know, SA up front, you know, so got Rufa in midfield, Saprit Singh, who they can hopefully get in the team, and you know, so there is enough quality there to at least make a run for it.
Well, they should be having some belief because there's still a chance to get into the finals spot, which is probably why Chiefy was so disappointed with the performance. Probably did feel quite sorry for this man, Josh Olawuyemi, out on the weekend. He had a horror first half with probably one of the more stranger goals that you'll ever see. Let's have a look at what happened in the first half here. This is from about 75 yards out. He looks like he's caught flat-footed, lost the side of the ball, hits him in the head, and then rolls in, Thomas. I mean, positioning, confidence, psychological, I'm not sure, but your read of it.
Yeah, obviously it's a bad mistake, and it's everything that goes into it. From, you know, you play in a stadium where you know there's a bit of wind. You know, when you see it from down the Auckland end, he does move. You know, during the flight of the ball, he doesn't readjust. He you know, I don't know if he loses sort of, you know, his bearings, or if he's too confident that he's just going to chest it and and then gets caught out. But you know, as a goalkeeper, you always give yourself a margin for error, and that's just bad pedaling 10 yards, and then you take the bounce and you're in the. So you know, it's hard to, you know, I've had situations where I looked at it and was like, what was I thinking in that situation? But it's just in that moment, early in the game, it sets the tone. And then for the second goal, as you mentioned as well, he's probably drained from confidence. So it was a tough day for him.
Yeah, well, we actually have had a segment on the show about how good he was in the last derby as well.
Oh, he made
some of the saves,
10, 11 saves and was man of the match.
Yeah, which makes me think it might be psychological with sort of what went on the weekend. Archie, just to being subbed off at halftime, that decision there, I mean, that's where you've got to think from a coaching perspective. What Thomas was speaking for before we came on air is the psychological aspect of Josh going forward. Yeah, I mean, right or wrong decision there?
I think it's a wrong decision because, like, you're down 3 or 4-0 anyway. Like, I just think give them the opportunity to try and get some confidence back. I don't think Wellington were going to get back into that game at all. So I was thinking at halftime, before I was getting to halftime, I was saying to myself, please don't sub him. I was even saying that to myself. And then obviously he's done that. So he's probably killed the confidence of the young man. And hopefully it doesn't. And maybe someone coming in revitals him and the energy. But I don't know, Thomas, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, the psychology of goalkeeping is a bit different. You know, you can't just get 10 minutes next week. You know, if you get subbed after halftime, you're definitely not playing for a while. And for him, you know, that burden of thought that, you know, you cost your team, you've embarrassed yourself, and, you know, all those, that's going to stick with him. That's going to churn away. And if you're not strong enough, that's going to potentially, we've seen with like Carriers, and we see players that never recovered from it. And that's where if you can play the second half, and yes, you've lost the team again, but you make a couple of saves and you can get back into, you're on the road to recovery. Now, you know, maybe his only saving grace is that there's a new manager and maybe a new view on things, and he can, you know, he can potentially, you know, get a game pretty soon. You know, it's tough, and that's the hard thing about the position. It's a lot of times up here.
Have you ever seen a howler like that before? Like
No.
That bad?
I honestly think he forgot that he was on the field or something. I'm not really, because I'm like, he didn't move to the ball, and obviously he could have let the ball bounce, could have gone back in the 18-yard box. So I think it was a psychological malfunction, really.
Yeah.
Just before we got to get to the next segment, would you start him next week? You talk about the psychological aspect, you know his quality. Do you back him in here, or does he need to almost kind of just step aside, get his sort of bearings back before he goes back in?
You know what? I think if I was a manager, I would have, no, we don't know who it's going to be, but there'd be probably an interim coach. You know, I would have a serious sit down with him, you know, get a bearing of where he is in his headspace, and then, you know, give him, you know, either my full backing and say, you know what, you got to turn this around. You got to go out there. I'm challenging you to do that, and then it'll obviously be up to him, you know, to deal with that pressure. I think personally I would. If you believe in the player, I think that's what I would do.
Totally agree. Yeah, totally agree as well. Well said, Thomas. Well, the Adelaide United, the Reds, are in red hot form at the moment. They moved to equal third with an absolute drubbing over Perth Glory at 4-0. Guys, makes us think. We've spoken about Adelaide a lot. Players going away, some injuries. They're quite a young team. Are we underestimating this team, Arch? I mean, there's so much talent there.
Yeah, I don't think, like me personally, I've underestimated this team. I think they're fantastic to watch. I put them in the same bracket as Newcastle in terms of when they're on. They're actually a real joy to watch. I think this guy here, the Cooley one-on-one, is always so dangerous. The boy that gets a ball now, Ryan White's just been amazing, and now you've got Alagic next to him. So I think they're going to thrive in the middle of the park. Okay, maybe the keeper does better in this situation, but then, you know, I think they're great. And Munez, I think, is fantastic. There was talk about, you know, Goodwin going out, and maybe does that disrupt this team? I don't think so. I mean, he's great to have in the squad, great for leadership, that experience, but I think they've done pretty well without him there, and I think that there's quality enough around that park to be doing some good things this year. Yeah, and I think the balance will be, you know, can they score more than they concede? They still concede a fair few in this one, obviously a very convincing win, but they've definitely got that quality and excitement and youth and speed, and they've got all the ingredients there, and I think they're on the day can beat anyone.
Well, now they've got their players back from the Olyroos. They've got the away Ips out of their system.
Yeah.
They've had 6 wins, 2 draws and 2 losses in their last 10 matches for 20 goals for and 16 against, as you said. So they are vulnerable at the back at times, but they've just got they're a bit like the Jets. They've got so much young, exciting talent that can break open a game. So I don't know if we've underestimated them on this show, but they're definitely not being underestimated now. No,
definitely. And you're probably right in terms of defence too. I feel like they've got to probably keep. Okay, Vrins, maybe there's been a few suspect decisions, but I think if they can keep Vrins and Kikianis fit, I think they're very good. I mean, the young boys that have come in, they're doing a job, but I think them two solid in the middle of that defence is very key for Adelaide to do well.
Absolutely. Well, a team we never get off talking about because they just continue to do the same thing every week, and that is the Newcastle Jets. The box office Jets, they're 8 in a row, people. Get excited. It is all happening for the Jets. They had over 14,000 at their ground on the weekend. They are breaking records. They are not far off. They're only 2 games away from breaking an A-League record as well, or equaling, I should say, of 10 wins consecutive in the competition. Thomas, this was a bit more of a different win, but I mean, the city of Newcastle, Shannon Knoll was performing before the game, 14,000, but they did win in gritty taste, which is very exciting.
Yeah, I love the way they won because it wasn't, you know, maybe as flamboyant as we've seen. You know, I thought Nata did incredibly well against Sawyer a few times in the first half, where, you know, Sawyer is always like that cross to the back stick. You know, they put him off. Shaughnessy, I think. So they showed some, as you said, they showed some grit and you know, they found a way to win. You know, and then Bayliss, you know, he's been in incredible form. You know, and very, I think, like the way he pushed. They had a couple of blocks. You know, they kept pushing, and he was just waiting for that space, and then obviously got the goal. So I think, you know, I think from MacArthur they would be a bit disappointed. They had a couple of, I think when Duke came on, he had a great chance. He had a shot late on where he sort of caught the keeper wrong-footed, but it just went past the post. So they maybe dodged a little bit of a bullet in this one. I thought MacArthur probably deserved a draw, but you know, that's what confident team do. They find a way to win.
Archie, I mean, just quickly, Mark Milligan, we've spoken about him. The feeling around Newcastle Jets, that togetherness of what they've built, I mean, it's so special. To think that this team is 2 wins away from equaling a record, which the next couple of games, Central Coast and Western Sydney, I mean, they're real opportunities to go and get that record.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right. I think when a team's full of confidence, they can win anyway. And this just shows them that they don't probably need to play that box office football sometimes that everyone expects them to do. They can win a game without playing particularly great. But I think Mark Milligan's done amazing things. And I did watch a bit of the footage, and I think it was Daniel McBreen was talking about you got to have a club that's together in every department. And there was talk about the groundskeeper or the groundsman not watering the pitch when Mark Milligan on the Newcastle team want them to water.
That's unbelievable, by the way.
Like, I mean, it's like, what?
Do better there. Come on, groundsman.
Hey, can we find a bit of background? Is he a Newcastle? Is he a Sydney fan?
He obviously goes to Central Coast.
Because we all know when a team like loves playing football like that, they do, and if the ball's slick and moving around, it makes it so much easier than having like a dry, sticky football pitch. I think that for me,
weird.
That's the worst to play football in. You know, is that dry and it doesn't stick.
Gives me chills just thinking of it.
Because you when a ball is slipping and zipped into you when the ground's wet, you don't need to try and manipulate the ball. It just sticks. So when it's like doing a few bounces here and there, you don't know what's going to happen.
It's not like
groundsman, man, help him out, brother.
Yeah.
When I played for Stoke and we were playing Chelsea at their height, Tony Pulis deliberately told the groundsman not to water the pitch, and he told him not to cut the grass for a week. So we were playing in grass like this, and it was dry. Like Chelsea, like people were falling over the ball. It was embarrassing, but like we got a draw out of it.
There you go.
Yeah, 100%, man. Help him out.
Some tactics you haven't heard
Works
of, but
both ways.
Groundsman from the download, just water the pitch. We like watching the Jets do well. That would be handy. Well, we're going to head to the Ninja A-Leagues because a brilliant performance. Perth actually came from behind twice to beat Newcastle Jets 3-2 here. We're going to pull up the goals. This competition actually goes on a 2-week break when the Asian Cup starts, but this was a brilliant game. Goals to Newcastle for Emma Dundas and Melina Ayres, which we'll go into. Gabby Holler, Clancy Westaway and Titan McKenna also scored for Perth to help them get this win. This is their back-to-back win for Perth, guys. So they're now moving to 5th place with 4 games to play after the Asian Cup break. As I said, the competition's taking a break until March 13th. And we're probably not going to show one goal in this. These are some of Perth's goals, which were brilliant. But I do want to just go to a goal here because I'm a big fan of Melina Ayres. I watched her play for Melbourne Victory. A very naturally footballer. But look at this, Archie.
Oh.
Bit of Paolo Di Canio.
Yeah, man, I love that Paolo Di Canio goal. I mean, if anything, it's probably just the inside of the foot than the outside. But you're right, she was fantastic at Melbourne Victory. She's doing some good things at Newcastle. I think for Perth, they'd be almost disappointed that their league's going into a little break because that kind of breaks the momentum that they're on at the moment. But we're all excited for the Asian champions, the Asia Cup. And, the girls will be watching the Matildas hopefully do well.
Yep, some cracking goals there, Thomas. I did actually, Tian McKenna, not Titan McKenna, I don't know where I got that from. But nonetheless, brilliant game out there for Perth. And back-to-back wins in the league as well, which is important for them. Now the favourite time of the show for some, and definitely one of the best times of the week, is when we put that post up on a Sunday for you guys to ask myself and the panel any questions you like. We have some rippers today, and this is no word of a lie. This first one has come from user 464-564-368-953. So someone's got a burner account. But genuine question here, Thomas. We just spoke about Newcastle.
You know when you get your usernames suggestions?
Yeah.
Like, how can you get to this? Like,
Well, I also think this must be... I don't even think this is automated. I think they've gone and added some more numbers. But this person asked, whoever it may be, it could be an alien for all we know, is, are Central Coast Mariners in the top 6 debate now? I mean, you believe it or not, they're 7th. They're undefeated in their last 5 games and just 3 points out of the top 6.
I think it's incredible that we can sit and discuss this. And I think Warren Moon has done a fantastic job with everything that's been going on. We've talked about him in weeks past. And yeah, they've got a chance, for sure. They're clawing out results and we're not giving them a shot, but they're showing quality and they're showing togetherness. And sometimes that's all you need. And they've got a good goalkeeper in Redmayne who can deliver, a difference. So young players that are making a difference, and then a few signings they've made, from the NPL has also been great.
I want them to do well because I love the club and obviously what Warren Moon is doing, but I don't think so. Like this is me personally because I don't think you can cough up that many shots on target from an opposition or give them opposition that many chances and try and win games. I think it's worked the last few weeks, which is fantastic, and the way they came back against Western Sydney, even though Western Sydney had so many chances. Again, like we saw the game before against Wellington, if Costa Barbarouses makes it 3-0, it's a different game. They had maybe 2 or 3 chances. Borello, with Fraser's great work, he hits the crossbar. Even the one that they had a break, I think they were 1-0 or still 2-1 up. Yugarkovic had to just play the easiest ball onto a runner, and he gives it away in the middle of the park, and then they go up and they score. I think they really ride their luck. I don't think they've got enough luck to make this.
Yeah, well, they did.
I hope they do, and prove me wrong, because, like I said, I love the club. But
Well, James Donachie rode his luck a little bit on this goal, and shout out to you, Donks, for getting that one in. But we'll have a look at the goals from the game on the weekend because it was special for Central Coast. This is the first one here from Ali Ogla, who's been brilliant since he's come in, as you touched on there, Thomas. I mean, a good feeling for them. This header as well was brilliant too, guys.
Yeah, and I think overall, like you said, but sometimes, when you're confident and you have a bit of luck and things go your way, that sort of can keep going. And I think you said that they're playing Newcastle. Are they next week?
No, I'm not sure. I'm not too sure actually.
Okay.
Maybe they are.
Yeah. So, but
oh yeah, they are. Yeah, they are, I believe.
So that'll be a big test.
Yeah.
They might get found out in that one. But we'll see. Who knows?
Yeah, and I hope they prove me wrong. I'm easily proved wrong.
Yeah, well, what I can confirm is James Donachie is still running around the stadium with his finger up as well. What a celebration that was, what I had. This one is from Azmoon Baran on Instagram. Interesting, this will be for both of you. Who's been the surprise player of the season?
Man, there's been a lot.
I would go like the Newcastle front 6. I think it'd be hard to.
Just a front 6.
Yeah.
How good is that?
No, but I think they, obviously I touched on Bayliss, the Eli Adams. Like they've got Clayton Taylor. Yeah. I don't think you can separate them. I think they've all been great. And they, I don't know. I didn't expect Newcastle. I expected them to be exciting, but I didn't expect them to be that consistent up there. So for me, that's been the biggest surprise. And I can't really pick one player to say he's above everyone else. I think they collectively have been tremendous.
Yeah, I would. and there's a big match this weekend, the original rivalry, Melbourne victory versus Adelaide. My players are actually coming from Adelaide. I think Ryan White's been excellent in the middle of the park. I think he's great. I mean, I'm a massive fan of Allegich, no doubt. But a great little player is Burkett. I think
he's electric, isn't he?
Oh man, I think he's for a young player and coming into he scores his goals well when he gets a chance. He's got great little touches of the ball, and he's a little mongrel and a little bulldog. I like that. So I think that he's one that stands out, and also Ryan Wright and the Cooling. I mean, we know him, but yeah, another one.
Well, maybe to me, like it might seem obvious now, but like Juan Mata, I think. You know, we saw him in glimpses last year at Western Sydney. I didn't expect the level of quality and the level of consistency, and for him to play. I thought maybe he would play, you know, like a off the bench role maybe, but the level he's taking his game to and the fitness he's showing. That's surprising at 37. Well, I think he's 38. He said he was 38.
Yeah, he's turned 38
this week or something.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
He's still 37, I believe. I think.
He is,
but
I think it's the next couple of days.
Well,
next
we
week.
had the question on here a few weeks ago. Would he win the Johnny Warren medal? Who's sort of in that discussion? But it's really his to lose now.
Oh, mate,
He's by a country mile in front, I have to say. To answer that question, though, I would go with Johnny Yull and Clayton Taylor as well. They've both been brilliant. Clayton Taylor, 2 feet. I still don't know what foot he actually is. Guys, this is from someone we know very well, who's actually going to be on the show next week, Naum Sekulovski. If you haven't seen him, he actually sang a song the other day about a dog taking a number 2 on his front lawn. So that's interesting on Instagram. But he had some time to write into us, guys. He said, has this round been the most exciting of the season? Yeah. What do we think? Arch, what do you reckon? Is it up there for you?
Well, I mean, that song that he sung, that's 2 hits he's made, right? 2 hits.
He's making a CD. Gradually it's coming out.
For those people that think I'm joking at home, I'm not actually. Archie showed us before in the green room.
And you said CD. It probably will be on CD.
Now maybe we should clarify to the young viewers what a CD is.
I think it's been really great. I mean, one match that obviously stands out for me has been a derby. I thought that was just excellent.
Yeah, the 2 derbies lived up to it. But I think thankfully, you know, I was sort of looking back, like we've had a lot of weeks where we've said that, and I think that's the A-League. I think there's something happening every week. There's storylines. This week was certainly up there because it was 2 derbies and with Juan Mata and you know what happened in Wellington. But you know, I think we're treated very kindly every week.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's just so many storylines this year as well to focus on. But guys, thank you. Great show as always. Good coverage on the weekend. Hopefully you're friends now after tonight.
We're always friends. We're always like.
Well, absolutely. Appreciate you all at home for all your likes, comments, all your support across the download. That is all from us here at the Downloads, presented by Isuzu Ute. We'll see you next week.